Hello, this is a review of the Black+Decker handheld steam cleaner model BDH1800SM. So what we have here is the handheld steam cleaner itself, and we'll talk about it in comparison to a canister model just to cite some differences. So first let's look at the unit itself. So it's a hefty unit, but it isn't going to be a problem for really carrying it around. When you first lift it up, you're going to say, gee, this is actually quite heavy. But two things. One is in actual use, it's not going to be a problem in my experience using it. And two is it actually feels really well constructed. There's a lot of heft to it, and a similar making experience with my canister models outside is it gives me a feeling it's not just cheap plastic on inside. The unit is hefty. On my kitchen scale, it comes in at almost 3 pounds. That's 2 pounds, it's 13 ounces. Not to mention the cord itself comes in at 1.5 pounds approximately. And adding the water, of course, adds another 3/4 pound. So with the water added, we come to 3 pounds 6 ounces now, plus the cord. The hose itself doesn't add a whole lot. It comes in at about 9 ounces. And then the actual attachments themselves are quite light. So, feature-wise, you got your power button on the top, trigger here. Note that there's no lock on the trigger. There is a lock of sorts, but it's the opposite of what you'd expect. Push up, pull, but it prevents you from accidentally starting steam, not lock the steam to keep on going, which is notably different than my canister model here that I can push down, push up on that little lock, and it just keeps steaming away. That's a notable difference. But it wasn't really a problem. It's still really to use with just the basic attachment here. It becomes a little bit more of a problem when you're using the hose because the only on-off switch is right here, which there isn't an on-off switch when you connect the hose here later that I really liked that the canister model had. I could just press, get steam, watch, steam, you know, if it was plugged in, that is. That this one here, you're going to be holding this in one hand while you're holding the portable unit in the other hand. Another thing I really liked was the cord length. Take a look at this. I wrapped it all the way around the table and then some to go around. So the cord itself gives some weight, but again, don't fear. It's just going to drag on the ground and you're not going to feel any of the weight of it. But it gives you a lot of freedom to go around. So to use it, basically you take the water cup they give you. There's a little max indication on the side there for the fill line. Pop the door down, fill it on up. I already got about 1/4 left in it there, and press the button. It turns red at first to say not ready, and then blue when it's ready. But note that it's not actually going to be completely ready when it turns blue. When I first did that, I got a bunch of hot, humid air out of it, and it wasn't really steaming. But then I waited another minute, and boy, was it really steaming after that. It comes with a warranty card and a manual, and the manual isn't very detailed. It pretty much just says it's nearly maintenance-free, bunch of precautions, and otherwise it doesn't have useful tips. Then let's look at the attachments. So you get the attachments that it comes with, along with the extra attachment here that's right on the unit that you can still take off and use on the end of the hose as well. And of course, it comes with the hose that we talked about as well. So here's our attachments. And this one here, you can rotate this forward and backward to do rotate it out to get a narrower, straighter stream, or rotate it back to get a wider, hotter stream. This is the most useful attachment for me because it delivers a real good burst of steam out the middle. This is what I use on kitchen tiles. You scrub it in a circle and it helps really do a good job lifting things for me. For these kinds of attachments, the gray ones here, you attach this to the end of the hose by matching up the little slot pattern with the nubs that you see on there. And if you rotate it right, you can put it on, screw clockwise, and you're in, good to go. Now beware, this gets really hot. If you go to remove it too fast when you're in the middle of working, the plastic itself is going to be quite hot. Just beware. This is a grout brush, pretty self-explanatory. Use it within a grout. This is for something like a barbecue. This is the second most useful piece that I found, is to work windows. Now this is a sponge on this side here. It's going to be rock hard when it's completely dry, but once it gets wet, believe me, it's just a sponge. It does a really good job helping to lift grime off of windows. I like it for the inside of my car to get that fog off of the windows, or on the outside of the car to help lift the bugs off the windows. I really like that attachment. Then you have this. It's much more like a little mini mop of sorts little microfiber pad of some sort on the bottom here. But honestly, it's really small for like trying to actually do your floors with or something like that. But it gives you something to give wider as opposed to just trying to do something with this the whole time. The hose is pretty good, I think. It feels pretty hefty, but it's not going to add any weight to it. I just wish it had a button on the end of the hose, like I had down here to press on my canister model. And they give you a bag to throw everything in as well. I will show you some mix of where it does a good job and does a not so great job. But that's not the fault of the unit. This does a really competent job, I think, being portable and delivering steam when I need it to. Not that much different than my whole canister model did, except this one maybe delivers a little hotter steam from that perspective. But this did a really competent job in comparison. So let's turn it on. It turns red at first, and then turns blue when it's ready. So now remember, to pull on the trigger, you press up right here and pull back on the rest. And then it starts spraying. Once you get it running for a little bit, you'll notice you will definitely see a visible amount of steam for you to use as you're cleaning. I can loosen this back down to here, and we get our more billowing steam. I can go ahead and turn this to a straighter stream, and we start to see it shoot out further. Now let's see how it can do against kitchen grime that comes from the stove. Clearly the middle tile is definitely cleaner than the tiles around it. So it definitely does a good job lifting where just ordinary wiping didn't do it, and it's actually hot to the touch. This is where it made the biggest difference in my home. Now I've done more of these tiles now, and you'll notice how nice and shiny they are, and they can take a few passes. I just did one more pass at these, but notice as soon as I get to one behind the stove here, that this one was just as bad. Here's a difficult area for me to clean that the steam helps with, because I have my sink here, and all the back splatter from the sink leaves all sorts of grit along here, and it takes a lot of arm work. So it doesn't just melt it right off, so don't be misinformed. It's not going to just melt all of the dirt right off, but what it does is it loosens it with some hot steam. You're going to want to go alternating wiping with a cloth and wiping with this, and then switching to the brush attachment if you want to get some bristles on this. Now I just did the middle section right here. Now it's not going to look brand spanking new, but you'll notice that most of the dirt has come off, and as I go up higher to the area I hadn't done, you'll notice it get dirtier and dirtier. So that's the kind of dirt that I got off down here. Still didn't melt away the dirt that was ingrained into the thread that we have over here. Don't forget to take care because it'll steam up your window behind you. You don't want a whole bunch of water and moisture to stay there, so wipe your window down when you're done so you don't get mold growth behind. So it doesn't just lift anything up, right? It helps you get in and clean, but it doesn't lift things, especially things baked down from hard water. I like to try to use it on my car windshield as well to try to lift the bugs right off. And it does a decent job helping to get through grime, but it's not going to get everything off, because sometimes it's going to be simply scratches on your windshield, so don't expect it to be completely clean, but it actually does a nice fast job. But by the way, the windshield's hot. And now let's try a window. It definitely got a lot off, but beware, you're going to get a lot of drip towards the bottom, so you're going to want to be holding a towel in your other hand so that you don't drip all the dirty water right down your door. It really wasn't too heavy at all to carry around. When you just let the cord hang around on the ground, that's not a problem at all. It's a really long cord for doing what you need to do, but the weight of this is fine for hanging at your side, and it's also nice that you still get a little bit of burst after you let go of the trigger, that it still keeps running for a little bit. It'd still be nice to have a trigger lock so you could literally set this down and work with the hose attachment. So how well does it work? So for me, it works really well on kitchen tiles and on windows. So I can get the grime off my kitchen tiles. That's what I use this for. I rub in a circular motion. Now you're going to want to wipe with a towel, then do a little scrubbing. Wipe with a towel, do a little scrubbing, and it did a really good job for me. For windows as well, I just mentioned that I like to use this on windows. But beware, it's not going to work complete miracles. It's going to help you whenever it would have taken a whole lot of rubbing. If it would have come up eventually, this will help it come up faster. But if it wouldn't have likely come up, it's not just going to melt away mildew and things with hard water deposits on it. Like, so my shower, it doesn't melt the mold and mildew off of the caulking or something like that. Thanks for watching the review.